All right, so today I'm wearing my chef's hat. I am wearing my chef's hat. You see that? I'm wearing my chef's hat. This is the one that I wore in the Navy, and there's a lot of cooking that went on with this hat on. And I don't wear it so much anymore, but I do still do some cooking. I do some baking more than I do cooking, and I, in particular, do some baking of pizza. I occasionally make my own dough, but for ease, I buy pizza dough balls from the local grocery store, which here is a grocery store called Publix. Maybe your grocery store has it. Kroger may have some. If you're fortunate enough to have Publix, then they definitely will have some over in the bakery in a little refrigerator there. But you can also order them online. But you can also make your own pizza dough balls, and that's real easy. I like a guy. He's called Dough Guy. I ordered a pizza steel from him just recently. Tried it last night, and the crust and pizza turned out fantastic. But today I want to talk about grief. Good grief, as Charlie Brown would say. I go, is there actually such a thing as good grief? What exactly does Charlie Brown mean by good grief? Well, it turns out that the phrase good grief has been around a lot longer than Charlie Brown, but Charles Schulz, the creator of Old Chuck, Old Charlie Brown, used that, and it's more of a phrase to express shock or frustration, surprise, um, and to have something to say without taking God's name in vain, or without having extreme vulgarity. So that's where good grief is, like good heavens or goodness or goodness sake, something like that. Good grief falls in that same category. But as I have been dealing with grief again recently, some about my mom, which you may have seen that video where I say 41 years wasn't enough, saying goodbye to my mom. But I've also had some more recent grief dealing with my brother, and I'm going to get into that later, in later videos, that is. But right now, I want to, as you can see, I'm making pizza in the side video there. Pizza was an interesting thing with Mom. Mom was a pepperoni pizza gal, and when we lived in Kokomo, which was the first 10 years of my life, and then we'd go back and visit, we'd always have to go to Pizza King, and Mom would always order a pepperoni pizza. This is a pizza joint that would use chopped pepperoni. I imagine that they put the whole stick of pepperoni into some sort of chopper, and it made it into little chopped cubes, and they sprinkle that all over the pizza. And she in particular liked a gentleman named Fred who worked there to make the pizza, and they cut the pizza into squares, so that was always interesting. Mom would always get the triangle pieces. There's 4. When you cut a round pizza into squares, you end up with 4 triangle pieces. They're small. They're not. There's nothing really good about those pieces. There's hardly anything on them. They're more like just triangular pieces of crunchy crust. And Mom loved them, and Mom would get all 4 of them. I have had the piece, but I'll pass. I did prefer the edge pieces as opposed to the center pieces that were all pizza with no crust, no outer crust. But even those inner pieces, they were bigger, had more of the topping and cheese and pepperoni, but didn't have a crust. Those were way better than the triangle pieces that were essentially all crust and no bite. But oddly enough, pizza is one of the strongest things that connects me to Mom, because I think of that story. I think about going into Pizza King. I remember sitting there waiting on the pizza to be done, and a guy dropped $1, or at least I think he must have dropped $1, and he left, and I ran over and I picked up the $1. I looked at my dad, and he's like, "Yeah, okay," and I just kept the $1. If that happened today, I'd probably tell the person right away, "Hey, you dropped $1," but hey, I was a kid, probably not even 10 years old. So it was a treasure. I found it. What do they say? Losers, weepers, finders, keepers. So pizza connects me to Mom, and maybe that's why I make it so much. It is delicious, but there's also obviously a familial, emotional connection with it too. Mom would ask for Fred, and that's how I thought pizza was supposed to be. Pepperoni. When we weren't in Kokomo, that's all we ever got was pepperoni pizza. And so into my adulthood, that was pizza. Pepperoni pizza. Anything else, that's not really pizza. Grief has an interesting way of preserving ordinary things like that. Not so much birthdays. It's pizza for me. Grief protects memories by attaching them to everyday life. And although I don't have pizza every day, almost every time I make pizza, I do think of Mom. I think about that story. I think about, would she like my pizza? I think she would. Everybody loves my pizza. So for years, pepperoni was enough, because pepperoni meant Mom. That's how Mom had it. And so that's how pizza was. But then one day I added jalapenos, spicy peppers, to my pizza. And a lot of people do that, but it was a change for me, and I loved it. And other people that I made it for, they loved it. Other people that like spicy food loved it. Then as I started gardening, I would put fresh tomatoes on there, fresh homegrown tomatoes. Ooh, wow, really good. Obviously fresh basil, really good. Even some oregano. Then one day we had some leftover roasted pork. I chopped up some apples, green apples, put it on the pizza, put it in the oven, baked it, boop, got it out. Oh my goodness. One of the best pizzas I've ever had. Then we tried it with chicken and apples. Oh, really good, really good. Sprinkle a little cinnamon on there, just a tiny bit of nutmeg. You would think that it would be like sweet. It's really not. It's still very much a savory pizza. It's really good. And then recently, and in the video you'll see that I sliced some apricots that I got at the grocery store. And first of all, the apricots were delicious. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to slice these up and put those on a pizza. And so I did. And it was really good. It reminded me, I didn't put a lot on there. Just, like one thin slice of apricot per piece. So you get about 8 pieces in this homemade pizza. And so there'd be just one slice. So you just have 1, maybe 2 bites with a little bit of apricot in there. And it reminded me of a pizza that I had when I was in Colombia years ago. They put just a couple of grapes on the pizza, and that was really good. The kind of a hot, sweet, not hot, temperature hot, a hot, sweet explosion of the fruit when you take that bite. And then, your next bite doesn't have it in there, but you still kind of have some of that sweetness going on. But the savory is there. And, as you can see, I put pepperoni on it too. Really good. And not at all like the Hawaiian pizza. And hey, if you like ham and pineapple, fine. We get a Hawaiian style pizza from a local pizzeria that does wood fire brick oven pizza, and it's really good. They roast the pineapple prior to putting it on the pizza. They put a little nutmeg on it. Oh, ooh, it's so good, so good. And then I think, I said this earlier, but would Mom like my pizza? Would Mom like sliced apricots? Would Mom like roasted chicken or pork with apples on there? Mom liked apples. Would she like it? I think so. I think she would like it. And that's part of grief, is that Mom died when she was just 59. And and so getting back to good grief, good grief isn't grief that just disappears. Maybe good grief is grief that keeps growing, keeps things growing and grows into something. And this is something, these are good thoughts that I have in these periods of grief. When I'm thinking about Mom, I think about being able to share my creative flow with her in pizza. I think about, her sitting there at the table with us and me saying, Mom, I tried a new pizza today. Why don't you try it? And just seeing if she's going to get the the scowl on her face, or if she'll actually try it and like it. I think she'd like it. If she would try it, I think she'd like it. Good grief, I think, makes us kinder. It makes us appreciate time. For me, it helps me create imaginative scenarios where Mom is here and I'm sharing these new things with her. It reminds us that life is precious. It teaches us patience. I think it deepens compassion. It inspires creativity. It absolutely does that. Not just in making pizza, but in other ways too. And if you've experienced it, share it in the comments what your experience is with that. And encourages forgiveness. Sometimes I'm really hard on Mom. Not so much as I used to be, but I've been able to forgive Mom for the grievances that I felt like there were. But through the years, as I've processed this grief, as I've processed losing Mom at that early age, I've been able to forgive her, and it helps. It doesn't erase the grief. I still cry. I still miss her. And sometimes I wonder, was it easier for me because I lost Mom at 59, or what if she'd have lived to 99? She'd still be alive. She'd be like 73 right now. And I mean, would I have been able to handle the declining health? Because she was already declining at 59, and here I am, 54. She died young. Every year I realize how young it was that she died, at the age that she died at. And I think about, would it have been better if she lived? Because I could share a lot of adventures and experiences with her and have some like really good times and experiences and memories to hold on to after she would die. But man, if I had to watch her decline in health and the caregiving, either myself or the expense of someone else, grief doesn't compare very well. And I have friends that their parents are well into their 90s, and They experience grief that I have not had to experience. They experience challenges that I never had to experience. And so grief does not compare very well. So keep that in mind, that grief is different for everyone, different for every situation. It'll be different for you in dealing with your mom as opposed to your dad or your sibling, or God forbid, a child, or a close friend. Grief is always different. Processing it is different. Experience is different. So don't be hard on yourself. Learn ways to process that grief. Every loss asks something different of us, something different of you, something different of me. So back to the pizza. Today I still make pepperoni pizza, but I usually add something on, whether it's fresh basil. And like I said, I imagine Mom sitting across the table and me surprising her, saying, "Mom, we got something new. I want you to give it a try." And see what she says. I remember we were at Olive Garden one time, and the waitress came up and said, Would you like to try a glass of wine?" And Mom said, "Is it free?" Golly, Mom. But anyway, I added apricots this last time, and it's not because I've forgotten Mom or tradition, but Mom helped shape me and told me that I could do whatever I wanted. And so I'm listening to you, Mom. I'm making my pizza however I want to, and it's good, and I think you would like it. And maybe that's what good grief really is carrying the people we love without letting our lives stop when theirs do. So the memories stay, the traditions stay, but so does the possibility of creating something new. Like I always say, if you thought that you never had anyone to talk to about these things, well, you have me now. So like the video, share it with your friends, share it with somebody who's experiencing grief right now, and share a comment, leave a comment, and share your story, because someone may need to hear it. All right, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.